Siamo molto fortunati ad avere con noi a Picus Tv Michael Fewer, il più famoso scrittore irlandese di viaggi e escursioni. Sul viaggiare, o meglio sul viaggiare a piedi, ha scritto una ventina di libri e almeno 400 tra saggi e articoli. I suoi scritti sono seguiti da un pubblico fedele in tutto il mondo di lingua inglese. Lo stesso vale per i suoi interventi alla televisione e alla radio. Il professor Fewer, un architetto e storico di professione, con alle spalle una notevole carriera accademica, non si limita a descrivere, soprattutto viaggia. Leggendolo e ascoltandolo si viaggia passo dopo passo nello spazio geografico, ma anche nel tempo storico. L'effetto è estremamente coinvolgente per il lettore, che riesce a vedere un luogo in tutte le sue dimensioni. Ha camminato e descritto le strade e i sentieri del suo paese, i borghi, i castelli, le città, i fiordi, le scogliere e le brughiere. E non si limita all'Irlanda. Ha visitato e descritto molti paesi europei e no. È stata una piacevole sorpresa leggere un suo articolo il 4 agosto scorso sul più importante quotidiano irlandese, l'Irish Times, in cui descrive le sue escursioni sulle montagne dei Sibillini e le sue visite ad Ascoli Piceno, Fermo, a Mantola e altrove. Michael, benvenuto. Ci puoi dire di questa tua esperienza nel sud delle Marche?
Umberto, I've been to Italy quite a number of times, and of course I've been to Rome and Florence and Naples and everywhere else around about the place. But what I love are the smaller places. And what I love about the Marche and about the Abruzzo and Romagna and Umbria are the small towns. And the small towns to me are wonderful because there are not so many tourists, and yet they have just as much history as the big cities. And I enjoy going there so much that every year a group of friends and I travel to Italy to walk in the hills, to walk through the towns, to eat the wonderful food, and to enjoy the culture and history.
Molto bene. Infatti nel tuo articolo hai scritto che quando hai raggiunto la vetta del Monte Vettore sentivi il mondo ai tuoi piedi. Hai descritto così l'arrivo in vetta. Il mondo sembrava giacere ai nostri piedi, gli Appennini dietro di noi e il mare Adriatico davanti, con le alture della Croazia che formavano l'orizzonte, con pochi esaltanti e vertiginosi tratti di sentiero con cui fare i conti. La discesa è stata più eccitante della salita e in breve tempo eravamo di ritorno in albergo, con tanto appetito presto soddisfatto da piatti di lenticchie locali, fettuccine fatte in casa con salse di funghi e un paio di bicchieri di rosso. Una settimana non è stata sufficiente per assorbire quel particolare angolo di mondo al di fuori dei normali itinerari turistici italiani. E adesso sto cominciando a pensare che non basterebbe neanche una vita.
Well, I can tell you that we were very well looked after in Amandala, in the Hotel Paradiso, where they were very good to us, a family-run hotel. They were very good to us and they produced the most wonderful food. And in fact, we took part with the chef in the hotel. We took part in making the pasta one evening because we enjoy that too. In Ireland, we might seem to be people who don't know a lot about food, and that's maybe quite true because we don't have the richness available in Italy. But when we go to Italy, we love not only to eat the food, but if we can get a chance to begin to help to cook it as well. So Amandala was very nice, very quiet town, but very close to the Sibyllinis, very close to the Apennines, which meant we could drive out every day and do some great walking, and in the evening come back and enjoy some great Italian food.
Hai anche visto Ascoli Piceno con la Piazza del Popolo, Caffè Meletti e Fermo?
We just found the towns quite wonderful. Very quiet. The people were hugely friendly. We met a lady in Fermo who had been to Ireland before, and she insisted on bringing us. We were looking for a restaurant, and she insisted on bringing us to the restaurant and negotiated with the owner of the restaurant as to what we should eat. And of course we had platters of meats, prosciutto, cheeses, deep fried mushrooms, olives, and we had a carafe of chilled Verdicchio wine, is that correct? Verdicchio wine?
Verdicchio.
Oh, Verdicchio. Oh, it was very, very good. So we have enjoyed Formo, and then when we went to, of course, Ascoli, we had some food in the lovely Capi Maleti, which is a very famous place, we understand. And we had mouth-watering pastries and beautiful espressos. We have a wonderful time there. And may I say another thing? What we find wonderful about Italy is the value for money. We got extremely good value for, what we would regard as very reasonable money. We find your country extremely good from the point of view of tourism, and particularly the areas that are not the big, important areas like Roma or Florence. We find the small towns wonderful.
Questo è molto bello da sentire per un marchigiano e naturalmente quando viene da Michael Fewer, il massimo esperto di viaggi in Irlanda. Michael, vorremmo che descrivessi per noi la tua filosofia del viaggiare. Perché viaggiare a piedi? Perché camminare?
Yes, Umberto, the only way to see a country is to walk it. The only way to truly see it and experience it is to walk it. If you travel by train or by car or by horse or by bike, you're moving too fast to be able to get a grip on what the essence of the country is. And I find that when I land at the airport and we get our car and we drive to wherever we're going to start, then we like to walk. And by walking, we can smell the flowers, we can watch the butterflies, we can see the animals, the trees, the mountains. We can become fully involved with the earth. And then the same way in the cities, to walk through your cities and in your towns, we can really experience the history by simply walking slowly through the towns. So walking is the only way to experience a place.
Vorremmo chiederti com'è nata questa passione per questo modo di viaggiare vicino alla natura e all'arte. È legato all'Irlanda? Al fatto che sei irlandese?
Well, Umberto, I was an architect for many years, and as an architect, I worked very hard. It's hard work. It's very fulfilling work, very enriching work. But I needed to get away at the end of the week. I needed to get away from it all, and I found the mountains where I live, very close to the mountains in Dublin. The city of Dublin is a beautiful city. It's got the sea on one side, it has parkland to the north, and it has mountains to the south. And I can walk out my door here and I can be in the mountains in 15-20 minutes. And I found that mountains and walking saved my life because I was able to relax fully from the stresses of being an architect and working hard all week in the city. I was able to get out into the mountains and just breathe the air and leave all the trouble behind. That's really what it's about. And that's where I started to walk. But the more I walked, the more I realized that there's more to this. If I start walking abroad, I'm going to be able to see more things and learn more things about other countries. And I suppose that's where it came from.
Michael, tu hai scritto un gran numero di libri di viaggio e anche sulla storia, soprattutto dell'Irlanda. Vorrei chiederti di descrivere per i nostri telespettatori alcuni dei tuoi libri, magari cominciando dall'Irlanda, e ciò che pensi sia importante sapere dell'Irlanda. E perché i tuoi libri sono così letti e apprezzati? Perché hai tanti lettori che ti seguono con tanta passione?
Well, I'd have to say that first of all, I am Irish, and therefore I love Ireland. So first of all, I'm in love with Ireland. But secondly, I would say that I started to write about walking because I felt when I walked and when I enjoyed it so much, Umberto, I wanted to share this with me. And the only way to share it was to write about it. So I started with a little book about the mountains of Wicklow, and that began, it's one book turned into 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. But I wanted to share what I was finding in the mountains, the peace and the tranquility and the wonders of nature. But the other thing about Ireland that's very similar to Italy is we have a hugely historic past. We are a very heavily populated country. We've been populated for a very long time. And therefore the vestiges of this population can be seen if you look hard. A lot of people walk by and they don't notice things. But if you open your eyes, you can see signs of the past, signs of the wonderful history behind us. The same in Italy. It's full of history, and I love history as well. So I was able to not only pass on thoughts of nature and the wonders of nature, but also talk about the history of the country. And that I enjoyed doing so much. And the books became popular, and that's the way it was. So I moved. Eventually, I started to write about architecture because that's where I was coming from. And architecture in Ireland, particularly the historic architecture in Ireland. And of course, when I go to Italy, when I look at the Romanesque buildings in Italy, it's a particular area. The Romanesque period is an area that I'm interested in. And of course, Italy is very rich with it. So every time I go, I seek out Romanesque buildings. You know that Irish saints went to Italy in the 5th and 6th centuries to bring Christianity to the Italians. Can you believe such a thing? But it's quite true, and I won't start naming them, but there's so many cities that have Irish saints. The churches, I mean, I could talk about Lucca, but Lucca, of course, is not in your zone that you're talking about. But there are 2 Irish saints represented in the churches in Lucca. And right through the Apennines, there have been Irish missionaries of the 5th and 6th centuries. So my big ambition is to go to Italy and to seek out those saints and find out exactly where they went and exactly what they did. And that's a real strong connection between Ireland and Italy.
Questo è molto molto interessante, perché così si viaggia nello spazio ma anche nel tempo, nella storia. Ed essendo uno specialista nel campo delle arti, è anche possibile per te vedere il lato estetico e quello che i nostri predecessori hanno costruito, hanno creato. La civiltà del passato si interseca quindi con la bellezza della natura.
Yes, indeed, and you put your finger on it. A lot of my books are about rivers and roads, because by doing that I can travel through space and time. And that's really, to me, tremendously interesting. When you walk on an old pathway, you're not just covering distance, you're covering history as well. You're walking with the ghosts of the people who walked there before. And this is a wonderful thing to do. But you have to open your eyes, open your ears, and open your mind to do so.
Questo è molto importante. Dove pensi che sarà il tuo prossimo viaggio in Italia?
I have to sit down with my friend Desmond McConville, who is married to an Italian girl. He married the same year as I did. They both live in Sligo in the west of Ireland. And Desmond has become more interested in Italy than his wife, who is Italian. So Desmond speaks fluent Italian, and you'll have to talk to him next, because he and I now will meet in the next month, and we will decide where we're going to go next year in Italy. And that's a big discussion that we'll have to have.
Beh, in ogni caso, contiamo di rivederti presto nella nostra regione e contiamo che ci verrai a trovare a Picus TV. Grazie mille Michael e a presto. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Umberto. Thank you. Bye-bye now.